Hi, everyone, and thank you for joining us on another episode of Whether or Not.
Wait, Quinn, this is Up in the Air.
Oh, shoot, I forgot we're not on the Oscars. But my name is Quinn Leash. Joining me at the desk is Noah Bergeron. Noah, how you doing?
Good, it's great to be here. My name's not Jimmy Kimmel, so I'll try not to make any mistakes for you here tonight. We've got a jam-packed show with stories ranging from roses to climate change and even Donald Trump. All that and more, but first, here's Update in the Air.
Last winter, the parched state of California braced for floods, high winds, and mudslides as the strongest El Niño in nearly 2 decades rolled through the Pacific Ocean. Big storms hit the state in 1983 and again in 1998, during the 2 previous big El Niños, a pulse of warm surface water that is pushed to the eastern Pacific that disrupts weather on both sides of the ocean. But in 2016, the drought held. This year, conditions were supposed to swing into a strong La Niña, the opposite of an El Niño, bringing cool surface water to the eastern Pacific and dry conditions to the Golden State instead. California has been battered by storm after storm. The massive Orwell Dam, some 75 miles north of the state's capital in Sacramento, couldn't cope. The dam's emergency spillway nearly failed. Some 200,000 people were evacuated from their homes. Experts say that the conventional wisdom of how El Niño and La Niña affect California's weather is an oversimplification. In reality, the amount of rain and snow that falls on the Golden State in the winter months depends upon chaotic shifts in the atmospheric conditions over the Pacific Ocean that lead to a very hard to predict.
As the world struggles to make progress to limit climate change, researchers are finding new ways to adapt to warmer winter temperatures by developing environmentally friendly ways of producing artificial snow. Chances are, if you know anything about Norway, you know it's a place where skiing was born. Traditional snowmaking makes up for a lack of snow by spraying water into cold air and letting physics do the rest. But if temperatures are above freezing, obviously this won't work. Researchers think that heat pumps could be the key to producing snow in an environmentally friendly way, even at higher temperatures. Your refrigerator and freezer are examples of applications that already use heat pumps to regulate temperatures. Scientists hope this will help promote innovation and business development related to future snow production facilities. So someday in the future, this could give new meaning to the term powder day.
How many weather people does it take to change a forecast? Evidently, more than we currently possess. The National Weather Service Employees Organization is issuing a severe hiring freeze warning. The union is afraid if Donald Trump's freeze order is applied to the National Weather Service, and if it will be dismissed before we can add another employee. The union hopes it can slip through a loophole under cover of a rhetorical fog bank. Trump's order doesn't apply to agencies involved in the military, public safety, or public health. The Washington Post says that NWS is hoping to reclassify itself as an integral part of the nation's public safety apparatus. First responders when the precipitation hits the fan. If NWS has its way, soldiers fighting for our freedom, anti-terror agents protecting the homeland, and doctors battling dreaded diseases will be joined by the guy who eyeballs the rain gauge at the airport, each doing their small part in the vital effort to keep taxpayer dollars alive. The real problem facing weather wizards is it's difficult to make the case for 650 new hires before Hurricane Donald arrives, when the desks have been empty for years and no one, outside the cleaning crews that dust the monitors, have noticed.
Scientists are reporting unexpected discoveries about Earth's core. The findings include insights into the source of energy driving Earth's magnetic field, also factors governing the cooling of the core and its other chemical compositions, also conditions that existed during the formation of our Earth. The Earth's core consists mostly of a huge ball of liquid metal laying at 3,000 kilometers beneath its surface. This is surrounded by a mantle of hot rock. Notably, also at such great depths, both the core and mantle are subject to extremely high pressures and temperatures. Furthermore, research indicates that the slow creeping flow of hot buoyant rocks moving several centimeters per year carries heat away from the core to the surface, resulting in a very gradual cooling of our Earth's core over geological time. The scientists use precision-cut diamonds to squeeze tiny dust-sized samples to the same pressures that exist at the Earth's core. The high temperatures at the interior of the Earth were created by heating samples with a laser beam. The beam is trying to identify the unique behavior of different alloy combinations that match the distinct environment that exists at our Earth's core. Eventually, this process of crystallization will stop when the core runs out of its ancient inventory of either silicon or oxygen. Luckily, neither you or I will be around when this happens.
For 40 years, heat trapped by human-caused greenhouse gas pollution has been eating away at Arctic sea ice. But for a brief span in the 20th century, Arctic sea ice was actually increasing. And that may be our fault too, according to a new study. The researchers used historical measurements to learn how the ice had changed, then modeled climate variables to untangle the causes. They found that between 1950 and 1975, certain types of air pollution counteracted the effects of greenhouse gases that hold heat in the Earth's atmosphere. The balance of these gases at the time cooled the Earth and helped sea ice grow. The findings emphasize the fragility of the Arctic sea ice system, with humanity's changing pollution habits, buffering the regions first one way, then the other. Researchers have documented rapid declines in Arctic sea ice since the late 1970s, when the satellite records began. Earlier data are scarce, but past research has suggested that Arctic sea ice has increased from about 1950 to 1975. Scientists confirm these findings using data from several historical sources, including maps that once helped Russian ships navigate icy northwestern waters. The data shows that Arctic sea ice went through an expansion as dramatic as a subsequent decline.
Receiving roses are quite the romantic memento in one of today's hottest shows on television called The Bachelor, although a new study is showing how roses may have much more significance than a token of affection. A special structure for storing energy, known as a supercapacitor, has been constructed in a plant for the first time ever. The plant, a rose in fact, can be charged and discharged hundreds of times. A Swedish research group presented these results, showing that they had caused roses to absorb a polymer solution. The process conducted hydrogel formed in the rose's stem in the form of wires. With an electrode at each end and a gate in the middle, a fully functional transistor was created. The researchers have been able to charge the rose repeatedly for hundreds of times without any loss of the performance of the device. The levels of energy storage we have achieved are one of the same order of magnitude as similar supercapacitors, said one leading researcher. The plant can, without any form of optimization of the system, potentially power an ion pump, for example, and various types of other sensors. Some applications of this technology are autonomous energy systems, including the possibility of harvesting energy from plants to power sensors and various types of switches. So the next time you give your special someone a rose, think about how that someday a rose may provide a literal spark between two things. Welcome back to the show. We now have a special feature on commodity forecasting.
Hello everyone, I am DJ Bennett, and this is my pal Steve Fundaro.
What's up everyone? I hope everyone is doing great today. We are special guests here this week to discuss the current state of two energy and agricultural markets. These markets we'll be giving insight to today are natural gas and soybean meal futures. Now to start things off, we must say trading commodities is no simple task.
You got that right, Steve. We are not experts by any means. Lots of big data and information is out there for traders in those markets to react to. We know that one key piece of information is the weather. Today, we will be discussing how the weather affects these markets and the current state of each market. Currently, these volatile markets are both near their lowest trading prices in the last 6 months. Steve is here for us to discuss the natural gas market. Take it away, Steve.
Just like any commodity, the prices simply depend on supply and demand. The most recent EIA, or the U.S. Energy Information Administration report, boasted an injection of 15 BCF, simply meaning there was a lot of natural gas staying in the ground. In addition to all this supply, temperatures across the U.S. favored on the milder side, leaving very minimum heating demands, thus allowing the prices of natural gas to only go in one direction, down. After the EIA storage report was released last Thursday morning, all of us held onto our hats as we enjoyed the ride down to where prices fell to 2.521 on the 13th. Now, at this point in the season, the weather does not play as strong of a role in controlling prices as supply does. However, it still shines its significance. The past 7 days have been hanging around above normal temperatures for most of the U.S., creating smaller heating demand, and with smaller heating demand, prices trend on the lower side. The next 7 days are looking to obtain temperatures around normal for this time of the season, and with the 3-month outlook trending around normal to above normal for most of the U.S., the amount of heating demand is slowly dwindling. So strap in, keep your head, hands, arms, legs, and feet inside the ride at all times, and enjoy this roller coaster we call the natural gas market. Now I'm going to pass things off to DJ for insight into the soybean meal market portion of our segment.
For insight into soybean meal futures, there are two main producing areas in South America that we look to. They are Argentina and Brazil. Brazil, being the more northern country, is currently nearing the end of their harvest season, while Argentina is hitting their stride, although they are a little behind compared year over year. For the month of April in Brazil, they are finishing their soybean harvest and loading up long lines of trucks to head to the ports along the coast. Weather does not play much of a role during this time, but heavy rains can disrupt the transportation of soybean meal to the ports. It is important to take a look at not only the weather for these two areas, but also the weather for the port regions as well. Looking at the forecast for the next week, there is right around average precipitation for both Argentina and Brazil, while the coastlines look dry, which is a great sign for getting the meal to the port from Brazil. Taking a look at temperatures, we see very little extremes occurring in each area, although the warm outlook coupled with average precipitation in Argentina will not help Argentina overcome their slow start to the harvest season. Last Thursday, the World Agricultural Supply and Demand Estimates report, commonly referred to as the WASDE report, was released. The market will typically respond to this report, but the report was right in line with market expectations, so no drastic movement in the market was seen. U.S. stock reduced by 15 million metric tons, while global stocks remained unchanged. The U.S. basis is dropping like normal for this time of year, so that leads to a bearish outlook in the market. Crush margins are also trending lower, but still right about average, which is another bearish indicator. In other news, white flies are becoming a problem for soybean producers in Bahia, a main soybean producing area in Brazil. Yields are still well above their 3-year average in this area, but yields could have been even better were it not for an increase in the population of white flies. These tiny insects can cause an estimated loss of 2 bushels, even with integrated pest management practices. Taking a look at the current soybean meal future prices, we see that the May 2015 futures market opened Monday at $308.80. We haven't seen prices this low since October 2014. The trend spotter says sell as prices continue to fall with a bearish market outlook.
Well, folks, there you have it. Thank you for joining us here for the weekly update on Up in the Air on the natural gas and soybean meal futures market.
We hope you have enjoyed our market update and have learned something about the energy and agricultural industries. For Up in the Air, I'm DJ Bennett.
And I'm Steve Fendero. You stay classy, stay college.
Welcome back to the show. You know, I've been asking a lot of people this recently, Noah. Where's winter?
Yeah, we've been experiencing more spring-like conditions here in State College. In fact, many of us ate lunch outside on the Hub lawn last Friday. It was so warm as we set record high temperatures in the 70s, which is great weather for the middle of April. Unfortunately, it's the middle of February. Kellyanne, what's the outlook for temperatures look like going forward?
You know, I actually have the outlook for temperatures in the next couple of minutes, but I first want to talk about current snowfall that we have here in the United States. So the northeastern part really isn't seeing a lot of snowfall, and that's because we had warmer than average temperatures this past week. As you may recall, we set record temperatures here in central Pennsylvania and mostly across the eastern portion of the state, but the West is really seeing that snowfall here. We have the snowfall all the way from the Rockies up to Washington and down southern into California, and that's because they've been getting hit with snow and rain for the past maybe week or so, and they've had maybe colder than average temperatures compared to here in central Pennsylvania. Although your upper air map for the next week, we're going to have a nice ridge here, which is going to lead to some nice temperatures and beautiful skies here, although the northeastern part is going to see maybe colder than average temperatures and also maybe some more rainier weather in the next week. Although temperatures right now, most of the United States is really seeing above normal temperatures, especially here in Oklahoma, Texas. You have Arizona and New Mexico, but then you have the eastern portions of Idaho, Montana, all around here. That's well below average, and then that directly correlates to the precipitation that we are going to see within the next couple of weeks. They're going to have in the northwestern portions are above normal temperatures, but then everyone else here where we had those warmer than average temperatures are going to see below normal precipitation. But then looking at the drought monitor for the current conditions right now, most of the United States is really not seeing a lot of drought. We do have some severe, maybe a little bit droughts here in Georgia and Alabama, and even some in Connecticut. But most of all, here in California, what we saw the past couple of years, they were in a severe drought, but they start to look to clear up because of the nice precipitation that they have been having the past couple of days. Well, I'm going to send it back to Steve Harvey and Jimmy Fallon. Oh, wait, I'm sorry. Jimmy Kimmel at the Oscar desk. Guys?
Thanks, Kellyanne. And unlike our friends over at Whether or Not, Up in the Air just recently won the Oscar for Best Picture. Until next week, I'm Noah Berggren.
And I'm Quinn Lees. We'll see you next week, Up in the Air.